I went and saw A Mother's Instinct and I really liked it, even though no one else really did. I thought it was a great psychological thriller. I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed the tension, I enjoyed the acting. One thing I really loved, just to begin with, was the set pieces and the costumes. That blew me out of the water. I love that 60s aesthetic. And I'm just going to tell you, this is going to be a mainly spoiler-free review. Now I say mainly because I'm not going to reveal anything that wasn't revealed in the trailers to the film. If you haven't watched the trailers, you don't know anything about the film, that actually might be a good way to go in. Maybe come back to this later. But if you watch the trailers, you'll know it's about two women who are 60s housewives who both have a son, and unfortunately one of their sons does die in a tragic accident. The mother who lost her child finds solace in the son of the other mother, and that causes tension in their relationship. And that's where it turns into a psychological thriller where you don't know whether one mother is trying to steal the boy away or the mother who has the boy is just getting paranoid. And that's what I loved about the film, the ambiguity. Now, the two main characters are Celine, who's played by Anne Hathaway, and Alice, who's played by Jessica Chastain. Now, when I came out of the movie, I thought this was great. And then I saw some of the reviews online, and it's in the kind of the worst area. It's only in reflection I realised that, yeah, there were a lot of weaknesses to this film, but because of how well Jessica Chastain and Anne Hathaway played their characters, I could ignore those weaknesses. They pretty much held up the film. Being a mediocre film, I think it'd be worse than being a bad film. You don't get as much coverage. If it was a great film, I'd see it all over the TV. You'd have left-wing commentators saying it's sexist, or you'd have right-wing commentators saying it's sexist, but just in a different way. And if it was a terrible film, I'd see it all over YouTube. There'd be thumbnails with big eyes, or, you know, the host will be pulling faces like, oh. I mean, to be fair, I do that as well, especially with my early thumbnails. Because it's mediocre, no one is really talking about it. It starts off with the two housewives, and they seem to have this picturesque life. They've got a big house, they've got successful husbands, they've each got a son, and you realise very early on that these two women, they're not that happy with their lives, even though they're being told they should be. And one of them says that they want to start their career again, to which the husband basically says, well, I'm successful, why aren't you happy? The husband couldn't figure out that his dream was not his wife's dream. She goes to excuse herself to the kitchen, and that's when the other main character comforts her. They're both trapped in this elegant prison, and I felt really sorry for these two ladies. Now, after we have that, we get into the inciting incident, and that's when Celine's son does pass away. Obviously, it'd be terrible to lose a son, it'd be terrible to lose anyone you love that much. But suddenly Celine is starting to form a close relationship with Alice's son. And Celine does push the line quite a bit. You kind of have to forgive her because she doesn't know how to act as she's going through grief, but Alice does have the right to be pissed about it. And that's when the tension really starts in the relationship. As the tension is building, you don't know who's the crazy one. Is Celine maybe just being overzealous or pushing the line a little bit but has no ill intentions? Or is Alice right in her assumptions? And that's what I loved, the ambiguity. Now, a lot of people are saying that there was too much exposition in this film. Yeah, there was a lot of exposition, but I thought it was warranted. I know movies are meant to be show, don't tell, and quite often with psychological thrillers, you'll have a lot of flashbacks and dream sequences. In fact, just recently I saw a movie that had a lot of flashbacks and dream sequences, and I still thought the movie was great. But they went with the less is more approach. You can just tell by the actors what's going on. And I thought that was very, very brave. In a very natural way, they'll explain what just happened. So, yes, there was a bit of exposition, but it never felt like it was jarring, or at least I didn't feel it was jarring. Now, a lot of people also say the script is not that great, but Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain's acting, they brought that script up. And that's how I ignored a lot of the faults. The pacing was also a bit weird. The movie goes for 90 minutes and starts real fast and it slows down and goes up and down. It goes in circles. Now, because the movie was only 90 minutes long though, it didn't wear me out. A lot of people are also saying that it was too obvious what the ending is. When I first saw reviews of Fight Club, a lot of people were saying, yeah, I figured that out partway through. I figured out the twist. Whenever people tell stories, they act like they're in westerns. And that's even in small stories like, and then this happened, so I did this. Or, I know exactly what was going on the entire time. Or, there was no point where I ever questioned myself. And maybe some of the commentators, they did guess it correctly. They were right to begin with. But I just think a lot of people who say they knew what was really going on the entire time just want to look smart. And look, they could be smart, they could be average intelligence, and I could be dumb. But I do have a nitpick about this film, and to be fair, I don't think there was anything the director or the editor could have done. Because this film was originally a novel, which became a French film, and now is an English film. Or I should say American film. I would have cut out about 10 minutes of this film. This movie went from an almost this indie feel to more of a Hollywood movie very quickly. And a lot of people love that stuff. But this movie is a one-night stand. I don't have to see this movie again. When a certain 10 minutes was cut out of it, I would have gone back and rewatched it several times. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you see the film. I mean, we all know that films are based on the male orgasm. There's the inciting incident, then the tension rises, then there's a climax, and there's the ending. And with that 10 bits cut out, it would have had all those stages. Now, to be fair, the climax wouldn't have been as big, but it would still have had the climax. The difference would be is, I'd go back to the movie, I'd call it back. When the movie is streaming, I think I'll do a full review. Especially if the critics are still saying the same things in about a month's time. Because I want to defend this film, I want to give spoilers, and I want to say why I thought that those critics were wrong. Now, I'm also open to being wrong myself, okay? If you think I'm wrong, if you've seen the movie and you thought it was mediocre or terrible, just put that in the comments below. Feel free to curse me out. But the movie deserves more than what it's got. It's not going to be in my top 10 movies of all time, but it was a great psychological thriller that didn't rely a lot on editing and trickery to really convey its message. So I do recommend you go check it out. And finally, it also got me on an emotional level because, well, first of all, you know, the loss of a child, I mean, I got very upset thinking about that stuff, but I did really feel for these women. I thought they were in this beautiful prison, and yeah, just made me feel really sorry for women in general. But that is my review. If you agree with me, put it in the comments below. If you really disagree with me, put that in the comments below as well. And by the way, if you did like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. But that's the review over. I think I'm going to go hug my wife and cat.